The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show. CamiBaker.com here. I am your guest host for today's show, and I'm super excited, as I always am, to be in the jungle where it's really happy. And I am working today with my friend Brent Harding. And I love talking about how I've met my guests because it's so interesting to me to talk about how we all meet in this big world. So I think it was about 3 years ago.
Okay,
I was speaking at an event in Boston. I was at The Point.
Yes, you were.
And you were one of the facilitators of that group. And afterwards, we created a friendship, and we've stayed in touch. Not close. We haven't gone out and braided each other's hair or anything, but we have stayed in touch. And
that was good.
And now, here you are, a successful speaker and coach and trainer, doing all kinds of fun stuff, missionary work. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself. What do you want them to know about you?
I want them to know that I enjoy life. I'm adventurous. I'm willing to give things at least one shot, within reason. It's got to be legal, but I'm certainly willing to give it a shot. And just got back from some missionary work in Mississippi. Very interesting environment. Never again will I complain about how far or what the distance is, because we drove 2 hours before we saw a human being, you know, and you're sitting up here going, oh my goodness, and you guys do this like on a daily. It's nothing to drive 40 miles. So folks, never ever again will you hear me complain about the distance to get someplace.
Girl, I got to be within 10 minutes of Walmart.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Truly. And I needed to know those places as well. Yes.
So let me ask you something. Have you always been an entrepreneur?
No, I haven't. However, the fun, the joy is from entrepreneurship. But I've done things that oftentimes not considered the fields that women would get involved in. I've been a National Park Service Ranger. Back in the day, I've been an air traffic controller. But the only thing that I can remember that I did that was more on the conventional side was being the executive director of an agency in EOEA for the state of Massachusetts. Otherwise, everything has been out of the box and different. And it's really propelled me to want to help women and to help girls to think outside and look outside the box for their careers.
So what made you decide to jump from typical, regular JOB career into entrepreneurship and helping women?
Well, I will tell you this. I'll clarify. I help women and men. So I don't forsake the guys, fellas. Don't get it twisted. I think it was opportunity. Part of it was opportunity, and it was also based on getting fired from a job for which the secretary knew I was going to be fired before I did. Having performance evaluations that were superior, and what that said to me is, guess what? It doesn't matter how superior that evaluation is. When they want you gone, you're gone. And I went, that'll be the last time, the only time I ever get fired.
And it goes to show a breakdown can lead to a breakthrough.
Hello, absolutely.
Right? Every time something happens that you think is bad, just wait. There's a rainbow on the other side.
Hello.
There's a rainbow of color.
And if you're fortunate, you get two.
Nice. Do tell.
Oh, I was in Bentonville, Arkansas. I was studying, doing my clinicals with Dr. Shipman, and it rained, and suddenly there were two of them, and they were distinct, and you could see them, and I went, oh my goodness, I've never seen a double rainbow. And people are outside, they're taking big shots and camera shots and everything, because how often do you see that? It was extraordinary.
So what are the two rainbows you've seen in your life?
That was deep. That was. That was very deep. Spirituality, of course, is definitely a rainbow. And you know, it's funny that you would say that, because this morning I was having a conversation with somebody you know, Joya, and it hit me as I was talking to her. I said, Joya, I am on a quest for completion. Between now and the end of the year, it is about completing the outstandings. And I said, I'm not taking on anything else. It is, I want to complete everything that I have that's outstanding. Made a list, and I said, I'm just going to check those things off. But for some reason, I came in, after coming back from Mississippi, I came into the space of what I do has to be complete. And so the rainbow is completion. And so now it's about completing what I start.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm feeling amazing and great about that.
Talk to me about who you serve. Who is your perfect avatar?
My goodness, I do not. The only one that I would have is on the spiritual side. It would be our Heavenly Father. It would be God. Other than that, I do not have one. That's a great question. I'm gonna have to explore. I'm gonna have to ponder on that, process that. I love that word. People say, I'm going to process it, and I sit there going, okay, what exactly are you going to process? What? And now I find myself saying the same thing. I'm going to have to process that and get back to you on that one.
So who's a perfect client for you? Like, what are the kind of people that find Brent Harding and say, wow, I need that information. I need that transformation?
Now it's more, I'm working with companies. So it is companies that want to truly engage their employees. So employee engagement, where they really want their employees to say, wow, this is like the best place on the planet to work. That have a mentality of, I'm a part of this, I'm a part of the success, I own this piece. And so to get the companies to invest in their employees. I do a lot of personal and professional development, but to get them to recognize that, because employees want the days where you stayed at a job. If you chose to work, you stayed at a job 20 years. You're not changing every 3 years. You know, my mom worked at her job, the last job she had, for 30 years. And now she had 3 kids. So she said, in fact, I remember she says, look, I can't do some of the adventurous things that you do. I couldn't afford to. I had 3 kids I had to raise. And she said, I did everything right. I waited till I got married. I did all those kind of things, and I still ended up with the 3 of you. You know, so
Our parents sure did grow up in a different time.
didn't they, though? Oh, my goodness, yes.
I remember I was out in California 2 years ago. I'm on the phone with my mom, and she's from the South. She's Southern Baptist all the way.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
So when I talk about my mother, I have to do the accent. She says, baby, do they pay you for what you do? Like, you making money doing that? And I said, Mom, people will pay $10,000 to hear me speak.
Hello.
She said, they will? I'll pay you, shut up. I said, thanks for the material, Mom.
I appreciate that.
I'll use that on stage. And I just did.
Oh,
but it's
my
so
goodness.
funny how our parents see us so differently, and the way that they grew up was so different. And that's why women and men need you today.
Yeah.
To shift into being, you know, it's like what I'm doing with cause marketing, the cause marketing movement.
Which, by the way, I'm very excited about that. Thank you. Yes, I am. I
Thank
saw
you.
your material. I'm very enthusiastic about that.
Well, 50% of the workforce now are millennials.
Yeah.
And 56% of them don't even want to work for a company that's not on cause and doing something on purpose. And 66% of them will take a pay cut to work for a job that's on cause, as opposed to one that's squandering, raping, and pillaging the planet.
Absolutely.
So there's a beautiful shift of energy there. Talk to me about how you help shift that energy in these companies you go into.
Well, first and foremost, it's understanding what their goals and objectives are, and it's inquiring and getting really clear with, how do your employees fit into that? How do you invest in your employees? What do you expect their outcomes to be? That's the beginning of getting clarity with them. And it's not every company that I will engage with. It's got to be a company in which I'm seeing clearly that my activity can make a difference, that when I bring in my partners to work with me, we can make a difference. Whether it is a difference monetarily for the company because we've aligned the employee engagement with their goals and objectives, or it is that they really have a desire for their employees to have, if it's not a financial, if it is not a financial position in it, that the company certainly is committed to their employees. And they want to see, back in the old days, you would have companies that they would really refer to their employees, do you know anybody that would be a good fit for our company? And we've really gotten away from that. In fact, this morning I was listening to MSNBC, and one gentleman said that there are hundreds, he's looking for hundreds of people to employ. And you're sitting up there, and so the question I want to ask is, okay, how come you're still looking for hundreds of people? What is there an issue? Is there problems? Is there a concern? Is it technical? What is it that is causing you to need hundreds of people, and why aren't they there?
Well, there is something to be said for the diversity and inclusion movement.
True that.
And that a lot of companies are looking for women to take some of these positions. As a matter of fact, I've been talking with a colleague. Do you know Lisa Carter?
No, but I've heard the name.
Yeah, she's in social media stuff.
Okay.
We're talking about doing some diversity and inclusion stuff where companies will bring me in as a speaker that would resonate with sales women, CEO women, management women for something like, say, Goodyear, Michelin, or like a company that's historically very male dominated.
Yeah.
They want to have diversity. So if I come in and speak and bring in 50 or 100 women that are of that caliber, but it's put on by Michelin, then they are there putting this on as I bring in the people. Now they can talk to them about employment and getting resumes and all that type of thing. So there's a lot of really interesting different ways of bringing in employees.
Absolutely.
Employees.
Absolutely.
So with you being in corporate and regular workforce over the years, what has been your biggest challenge as a woman?
Actually, the biggest challenge is a couple-fold. One is actually breaking through that ceiling, that typical glass ceiling. Second, I found that more often than not, I have been one of the first, either one of the first women of color or one of the first that is willing to speak her mind, and in instances it has been challenged. So those have been the areas that I find either the first or the one that will speak out. And there are good things about speaking out, and over the years I've learned to salt my words a little bit more than I would back in the day, and just having the brain power. And it's kind of sad in that women, we have brain power, and I can remember some women saying, well, I've got to dumb it down. And it's like, oh, no, we're not dumbing the stuff
Dumb it down, but at the same time work twice as hard.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know,
Absolutely.
for me, I have been totally unemployable. Absolutely
Yes.
unemployable
Hello.
for most of my life.
Okay.
Because I do speak my mind.
Yes, you do, as a matter of fact.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
From the book on the School of Cami Baker, yes.
As a matter of fact, the first year I moved to New Hampshire, this was back when I had the little drinky drink problem too. In the book I talk about my alcoholism, but I went from owning my own bar to coming here and working in other people's establishments.
Okay.
And I had like 14 W-2s at the end of the year, and I gave them to this accountant guy that was doing my taxes. He said, this must be a record. I said, you don't even know about the ones I got paid cash under the table. I'd never treat my employees this way.
Thank you. That's why I exist. That's why my activity exists, for that very reason. For that very reason. Yes. Keep going. I'm listening. You've got my undivided attention.
I love how articulate you are. I've always been really impressed with your vocabulary.
Well, thank you. I can thank my mother for that one.
I can thank my mother for that one too.
There
Tell
you
me,
go.
tell me why you can thank your mother, and I'll tell you why I can thank mine. Because we should thank our mothers.
I am thanking my mother right now. Mom was the kind of person, or is, I should say, the kind of person who demanded a lot out of us. We could be at the dinner table, and if we asked what a word meant, We knew, don't even ask anymore. Just go to the front hall, get the dictionary off of the credenza, come back in. You had to read it, you had to share it with everybody, you had to put it in a sentence, and it would be, you'd be so frustrated, but you would still do it anyway.
Right.
So she really demanded a great deal in terms of our education. And it was interesting because she would say, "Listen, I'm not worried about your brother. There's always going to be a woman to take care of him." My girls, she would say, they've got to be educated because they're the ones that end up with the kids.
Isn't that funny?
So, in fact, I remember when we turned 30, we didn't have any kids. My mother was like, "Well, what's going on?" And I remember us saying, "Well, you told us we had to do this and do this and do this. We had all these qualifiers before you could have any kids."
Well, good for you that you actually listened.
I actually listened to her.
Wow.
And then we got about 35 and she said, "Well, wait a second, what's going on?" "Well, we haven't gotten to here, to here, to here, to here. So when we get there, then the kids can come." Oh, but she is just a dynamic role model.
Well, I guess today's show is a little bit about dynamic role models in our mothers and in us.
Absolutely.
My father died when I was 6, and so my mother went back to college. And when she went back to college, this was way back before computers.
Okay.
And so when my mother was writing one of her thesis, she would hold the ruler and write and write and write to the point where now when she writes, you would think she's writing on a ruler. That's how well she just writes.
Oh,
you know?
my goodness.
It's beautiful. And she was taking humanities? That's not the right word. I'll think of the word. But anyway, we went to a lot of plays. I saw William Shatner do a monologue when I was like 9 years old. Very bizarre. But I went to
Wow.
Death of a Salesman and all these plays and things.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it was because my mother, breakdown for breakthrough. Breakdown is Daddy died.
Yep.
Breakthrough is my mother went back to college. And she got that much more educated, and so did we. And so, that's why my language is a little more verbose. I learned that word this week, verbose.
Verbose. I've got to tell you, my mom, they must have been on paths that were very similar because my mom actually went back to school and got her master's because what she was told at her job is that if you don't get that she was going to be terminated. And so she had to do it in a one-year program. And so she went to Antioch Graduate Center. And I can remember, here I am like at, I think 13 or 14 years old, and I'm reading her work. I'm like, oh, and I'm reading down and I'm checking things to make sure that this is, and I remember at the time when she graduated, I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have gotten a master's degree. But
well, you kind of did.
Yeah, yes, you know what, you're absolutely right. Yeah. I actually kind of did. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness, I am amazed at how our paths have forged and been very, very similar. In fact, when you were describing some of the things that you were doing, I see us in similar paths where I am now, like yourself, before companies and bringing folks together, not so much for diversity, but again, just for the interaction of employees to make the scenario better, to help them to grow. And so I see a lot of similarities. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, and it's about this whole energy shift that companies are even open to that. 20 years ago, they probably wouldn't have had you come in and
Not by a long shot.
The whole cause marketing thing, people wanting to be a part of a cause. It used to be you got the job, you did your 30-year stint, you got your watch, and you got retired and got your Social Security, and everybody's happy. But that's just not the way it is anymore. And
No,
so
not at all.
Not only do companies want to be on cause and on brand, but so do the employees with them. So
True that.
So-
Isn't it amazing how that's happened, that shift, and what the driver of the shift? The driver of shift is people. People have made that difference. No, we're not going to go to the left. We're going to go to the right. And guess what? They found their power.
yeah.
That's the thing. People have found their power, and their power is, you know what? I don't have to buy your brand. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And guess what? If I get some of my friends and we get on social media, guess what? They won't be either.
Social media has actually probably been part of that shift because it's so easy now to, if you get a bad sandwich, everybody knows, the whole country knows about it.
Oh, yes, and it doesn't take much time. Oh, very, very definitely. Yeah, so I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm listening.
How do you go about finding the right companies to do your work with?
Excellent question. I will go for companies. A lot of times they come via referral. When I've shared what I do, they've come via referral, and they've come in many instances from the employees themselves. The employees have actually gone to the company and they've said, you know what, there's a person that you really ought to take a look at.
Interesting.
And so that has been, but more often than not, it's by referral. And I think it comes from referral because who wants to get out there and air their dirty laundry and say, hey, you know, I'm having a problem here, or hey, you know, the employees, the Indians aren't happy, or the employees aren't happy. And so as a result of that, I think that has what's been a driver.
So what's like, are you looking for VPs of marketing? Like, what is the name of the position of the person in the company you'd be looking for?
I'm looking for the human resources, and I'm also looking for the sales, for who heads the sales, the VP of sales, VP of human resources.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much the decision maker, but those are the two that I would focus more of my attention on, primarily because I am dealing with salespeople, people that are out in front. They are the ones that are driving the dollars. So I'm dealing a lot with salespeople. And then the human resources department, because they are then engaged with everyone. So it started off actually with the sales, and now it has moved to the HR. And I'm actually getting ready to be referred over for diversity. Yeah, so it's really kind of exciting. One, to a major corp that I've really wanted to do business with.
So are you still speaking?
Yes. You know, I think my mother would pay. I think my mother would pay me the same way your mom would pay you. Could I just pay you to be quiet? And then she says to me, "You've got a nerve to say to other people you're tired of listening to them."
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, both moms, for giving us plenty of material today.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, she does.
So
truly.
when you're speaking, where's what is a perfect audience for you? Where would we see Brent speaking these days?
These days, in a couple of venues, but one of them that really touches me is, and you've probably heard the title, is I Want My Life Back. No, I want it back better. So I'm speaking with women in particular that have really had those challenges, that are at the space and place. They're usually 40 and above. They're at the space and place where they're looking back at their lives and they're thinking back to better times, because whatever is happening for them right now is just so challenging. And you know, a lot of times people say, oh, I want my life back. And I'll submit, no, you don't, because you know what? Whatever happened to you the first time is probably going to happen again and again. You want it back better. So I'm speaking a great deal on that topic, and again, it's usually going to be women that are generally between 40 and 55. They've hit a place where they're now looking back and they're having some lamentation. But what's interesting is I'm getting the set now of the millenniums who are saying, I don't want what happened. Whatever happened to them, I don't want that to happen. So what do I need to do so I don't end up like them? And so that has really caused me to reframe the conversation. So that has been a huge one. The other one that I'm having a good bit of fun with, in a matter of speaking, has been around with salespeople in particular, and that is helping them to understand why they're not connecting with whoever that market or whoever those people are that they want to connect with. So I'm having a lot of fun around brain training and helping them to get clarity so that they can understand why this didn't work, and why you may want to have a team. You may want to surround yourself with a team, because we think we're great, but we're not always the best person to make the transaction come together. And I try to get people to understand, listen, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Ain't that the truth?
You know, so yeah, I remember one time, this is more years ago than I want to remember, but the fun part was, the ladies came in and they were really upset, you know, and I can't believe I spent all this time with whoever this VP was, and I couldn't get that sales closed, and here the guy comes in and he closes it. And I said, you know what, I got no pride of authorship, because at the end of the day, I'm the person that signs the check. And so I said, so, you know, put your ego back here. It doesn't matter. as a friend of mine would say, did you get a check?
Right. Did you get paid?
Did you paid? There you go. So at this juncture, those are the areas that I focus. I'm doing a lot with the brain training. I'm doing a lot with, and in particular, the conversation about getting your life back tends to be more with women. Because
I'm always redeveloping my life. Like, I love to reinvent, recreate, to my detriment, though, because I will recreate and put that down and start something new so much that it's like I say, it's like being the sun, and the sun's is warm, and like I warmed the whole planet.
Yes.
But it's a matter of getting that magnifying glass out and catching something on fire, you know? Because right about the time I'm about to catch it on fire, ooh, squirrel. What's that other thing?
What's that other thing?
What's
Yes.
that other thing? Oh, that's shiny. Let's do that. Right? So it's really
my
important
goodness.
for me to just focus it on down. So I'm in that 40 to 55 range, somewhere in there.
Yeah, okay.
So in our last couple of minutes together, give us something yummy, juicy that we can bite onto and pragmatically do. Something that you teach people that we can implement.
There's a couple of things. One in particular is stop looking in the rearview mirror. I know this sounds really simple. One, stop looking in the rearview mirror. Two, lay out what it is. And these are not things that we don't know how. So lay out 3 things, no more than 3 things that you can seriously look at and say, okay, I can work these, because typically we generally are not able to work more than 3 things. You know, there's a reason why there are 3 strikes and you're out. You know, there's a reason for that. So work with these 3 activities. Give yourself timelines, because you look up one day and 10 years have gone by. Give yourself timelines. And I'm not even give yourself timeline. I'm going to do this, and if this works, terrific. If it doesn't, then I'm going to move on to the next best thing in my lineup. And I know that those sound really simple, but the reality is when they're implemented, stops us from looking at those shiny things around there. 1, 2, 3, boom. And guess what? There's no such thing as how do we put it? You and I have been in an industry, which I will not name, but we've been in an industry where we're told, oh, and you can just make millions and millions and millions and millions. Not that it can't happen, but put it in perspective. And age defines perspective. You know, if you haven't got that many years to make that thing happen, then let's look at the reality of what you can make happen.
Experience comes from bad decisions. Bad decisions comes from getting out there and doing something.
But you have to take action, and
Gotta
you have to
take
get out
action.
there, and you got to do something. Therefore, you get your portfolio, and you can work with that.
Well, there you have it. We are happy in the jungle today with Brent Harding. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Brent.
It's my pleasure.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.